And hello, everybody, and welcome back to the stream. Or if it's your first time here, welcome. Hope you're all having a fantastic Saturday, or whatever day it is for you right now. And we are back. So, yesterday we started Of the Devil, episode 2. We really loved episode 1. Now we're in episode 2, and goddamn, this opening scene is very, very fucking funny. Very, very funny, and cool as hell. And we ended on a JoJo meme. So I am really itching to get back into this. Ooh. Whew. This is so. This moment just. How many times have you eaten bread? Morgan asks. The fucking guy she just shot. Never got a gluten thing, bitch. Whatever. Point is, I am not a collector. This is not my hobby. I do not keep count. There is no code. I'm not a collector. This is not a hobby. I don't keep count. There is no code. I wonder why she refers to it as not a hobby specifically. I do what I want as often as I want to. Do what thou wilt, whole of the law, is that it? Dunno what you're referencing, but from where you're sitting, do I really look like the law-abiding type? Which is ironic, because she is a lawyer. I bring the mask down to my face, and again its surface seems to shudder. Forget it. Least I know you deserve what's coming. I've heard a lot of empty threats in people's last moments, Creek. They're never that memorable. Told you that mask was a death sentence? That it was spoken for? They called in a huntsman from overseas. Home turf. Huntsman can become anyone, go anywhere, kill anything. Supposed to come over and slaughter the rust. That mask was part of his payment. He'll be looking for it. Possession is 9/10 of the law. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Finders keepers. Forget it. I don't need to scare you. Huntsman, hunter, too much meaning lost. Always thought better translation was pelt taker. He'll find you, flay you alive, wear your skin, then go and murder everyone you've ever loved. Morgan, she laughs. What a face! Should have taken you up on dipping out early. Anything beat dying staring at a face. A face like that. So, the huntsman is coming to get me? Nah, the dead and the dying make for strong bluffers. And I've seen more than a few of them try their hand at improv. Time to move! I need to scuff things up a bit more, make this look more like an orca shootout than, well, a visit from me. Oh god, we're actually getting to play the game during a segment where she's being the murderer. We didn't get that at all in Chapter 1, even though we got that in Chapter 0. But rather than coming in and this starting out being about her lawyering, it's about her serial killing instead. In fact, this could take place on the timeline before we even meet Sarah, which would sort of make for a good reason as to why Sarah is nowhere to be found right now. Like, I don't know where else Sarah would be other than with Morgan basically at all times. So I don't know how Morgan was able to do any of this. without Sarah being around, unless this perhaps happens somewhere earlier in the timeline, such as before episode 1. Get it back? Weapons are inherently disposable. I can kill with anything, so I'd never bother to retrieve one from a dead man's grip. But I might have need for a knife again shortly, so I'll be taking this back, Miller. I had to pry. Why is it that the dead are always grasping? He's trying to hold on to life. Cover tracks, yep. The sword was not worth the effort. Lesson learned, but now I have to remove it for this next part. His eyes. Can't tell the model from the outside, but I can make a strong, educated guess at the price range. If they back up any data, it can't be more often than once an hour. It'll be 10 o'clock soon. I'm gonna need something with heft to it. Wow. Okay. So she just obliterated his skull. That is fucking disgusting. Well, the bat's definitely spent, but his eyes are no longer a problem. And the sword is fine where it is. I'm not gonna tempt fate and risk nicking myself with it. That's all the burning issues addressed. Time to take care of the chores. I had to remove my gloves to convince them I could use the dark card. That means I handled all the murder weapons with my bare hands. Obviously, I'll need to wipe my prints off this gun and my knife. But I put my gloves on before opening Creek's safe and cracking Trey's skull. So what does that leave? Halt, heads up. Remember everything Morgan handled? I'm not entirely sure. Better try. The police don't miss fingerprints. If you're sure you've got everything, you're good to move on. Right? Oh boy. Focus. No mistakes. Well, this is a difficult... This is a challenge. Gonna be a challenge. I didn't touch their cars. Yeah, we did touch this with our fingerprints, so... The sword. I gripped the handle with both hands when I brought it down on his neck. Thinking back, I dragged the tip across the floor, didn't I? Shit. Probably got Miller's blood on it. That's sloppy. And stupid. Why the hell did I... No, forget it. There's nothing I can do about it anyway. Fingerprints can be wiped, but there's no cleaning agent on Earth that can hide blood from a modern forensics team. And I'm not looking to do an encore performance of my reaction to those goddamn fickle bobbies. Fickle bobbies? The remote. Did she pick up the remote? I don't think so. We did. I think we did have to try and log into the card. The dark card played its role as bait perfectly, even if it's the reason I'm having to go around wiping off prints. I'll never be able to pull funds off it, but I might be able to use it again if... it's stuck. Greek must have dropped it harder than I realized. Getting shot in the stomach doesn't help with handling delicate electronics. No way I'm gonna risk taking the whole reader with me. It could have any number of pings and strings leading back to the manufacturer or even the Blue Bloods themselves. No, I'll wipe the dark card off and set the whole reader back on the desk. For all anyone knows, Creek's pod mugged it off some slumber and we're trying in vain to get beer money off it. Is there anything stopping us from cleaning literally everything off? The remote. This is the remote I used to distract the big guy. I need to wipe my prints of it, of course, but should I turn the music back off? No, it was playing when I first walked in, best to preserve continuity. And besides, what was it he said? We like it loud, screws with bugs? He was right about that much. Little smoke screen never hurts. Oh yeah, I think we did take a cigarette, yeah. That cigarette was in my mouth. Prints can be removed with a swipe of a sleeve, but saliva's no choice. I'll take it with me and dispose of it somewhere far away. Or smoke it down to nothing if I'm feeling masochistic. Tasted like microwaved sand sprinkled with aluminum and artificial sweetener. Cigarettes do scatter particulates. If forensic finds them, but can't match them to a source, well, so what? All they'll know is that there was a horrible spliff here at one point. And it would be pretty funny to see this drawn up as a quadruple homicide drug robbery with a payload of exactly one shitty blunt. Return keys. Right, the keys I took off him to open the safe. The Blue Bloods are going to find out I took the masks eventually, but I see no reason to give them any hints. Going to find out I took the mask eventually, but I see no reason to give them any hints. And the off chance the police get here first, I'd rather not investigate this as a robbery. All that's to say, you can have these back, Creek. Jesus Christ almighty. Everything that I touched. I don't think I feel like I looked at some of the stuff over here. I can't believe she fucking caved his skull in to destroy his eye. I thought she would, like, cut them out. But no, she just reduced his skull to meat and bone. I was like, that is... oh my god, that's like shit from, like, The Boys or something, or Invincible. I can't exactly spend all night in this. Am I good here? What else is there? I'll say this one more time in case it gives me more options after asking. I bet they hired Trey because of his eyes. Okay, I can't think of anything. Yeah, okay, this feels like the scene's been set. It's a strange sensation, erasing your own presence. A sense of supremely private accomplishment. Like placing the last piece into a milk-white jigsaw puzzle, and then throwing it in the trash. It's not unpleasant, but I can't linger here any longer to savor it. Time to draw this to a close. This is the guy getting tortured in the beginning. Thank God for the mask. I can still tell it smells god-awful in here, but it's bearable. Rehydrated sweat and vomit, scents full of adrenaline and sickly heat. Unfiltered, I'd be at risk of getting sick if it weren't for all the blood. Oomph! Oomph! Bound man. Right. Is that David? If that's David, then that means this is a flashback. I think this is David. Like, he has the green hair. I'm pretty sure David had long green hair. What to do with you? Blindfolded, gagged, hands bound above him with plastic ties and linen wrappings, beaten, bloody, and drugged? These syringes, they wanted him to stay conscious. Not very popular, are you? Still, you're not dead. And with these kinds of injuries, you won't die soon, not without a push. That might be the most charitable thing to do under these circumstances. He must have wished for death at least once during all this torture. Too bad. The bat that barred this door is now in splinters. Anyone walking in after me won't realize that this room was locked from the outside. If this captive had somehow gotten his hands on a blade, there'd be nothing stopping him from stepping out here and butchering his captors. The Blue Bloods will want someone to blame for the deaths of the 4 of their men. And unlike the police, they won't bother arresting an innocent man and putting him up on trial for the world to see. They'll wrap things up for me. Hold that for me. As for the gun... What's with the... All I did was tuck the gun into your waistband, pal. Oh. Okay, I can see how this would be distressing under the circumstances. Well, you can relax about that. It's not loaded. Oh, he has no underwear on? He doesn't want his cock and balls shot off as a part of torture? A few minutes from now, you're going to wish it was. Out again already? Rest up while you can. When you wake up, you'll want to start running. She was going to kill him, but then she thought, actually, if I let him live, the police, like, he can take the fall for me. But the police are never going to, like, blame him for killing people who had captured and tortured him. For real, though, is that David? Oh, August 14th, 2086? Actually, maybe it can't be David. One, because David wasn't... I'm not... We never saw David bare-chested to know that he was, like, ripped. This guy is a little bit muscular. But I don't know. It could be David. The problem is that I don't remember the date that we left off on in episode 1. So I can't tell whether this timescale is before that or behind that. Like I practiced. Irashai! Irashai. Okay. Afternoon, line number 15. Pardon? Diamani. Keep working on it, kid. Okay, so no, that's probably not David. Unless actually, wait, no. That still could have been David, because Diamani could have been Morgan's friend for a while. Like, if he was her friend back when she met David, there's no reason to think he wouldn't still be her friend now. In the modern time. Keep working on it, kid. Bar Kintsugi. Didn't mean to interrupt you in the middle of training your new employee. How's it working out? It is she, right? Never worked this close with an ad before. She is unbearably forgiving, so I doubt you'll get sued. She's fine, good at cleaning, precise with her mixing, knows a hell of a lot of trivia. Popular with the younger crowd, I think. Well, yeah, look, she's so pretty. This is the place with the android bartender? You talk like I installed a new karaoke machine. I didn't know you had a younger crowd. Funny. What's that make you, Grandma? There's no way she's a literal grandmother. If Morgan is old enough to have children that also have their own children, I would be shocked beyond comprehension because she looks like perpetually 30. Like in the entire time we have played these chapters, she just looks like woman that is 31 at all times until she turns 70 and then she becomes a raisin. So there's no fucking way she's old enough to have grandchildren. More of a learning curve to her than I was expecting. Did you cheap out on her base installs? It's like I have to teach her everything. Trust me, there's nothing cheap about Sarah. let's remind everybody about Sarah. Sarah is the goodest girl ever. Date of birth, August 29th, 160 centimeters, weight almost 200 kilograms. That's because she has military-grade hardware, so she's very heavy despite being short. Blood type U add. So, blood type U, but only for AIDS as an autonomous dependence or whatever. And that's correct, guys. Androids in this universe, some of them do have actual, like, biological components that are grown with the help of extremely early tech nano machine manufacturers. So they're able to, so Sarah isn't like entirely flesh. She certainly isn't bone. There's no bones in her body, but she does have like a fluid akin to blood. Hence, it is appropriate to actually give them actually identify a blood type. Occupation: paralegal. Apprentice: kintsugi. Okay, so it's kintsugi is a Japanese bar in this city. Okay. Split field diopter. Wing Chun. Folding clothes. Those are her likes. Split field diopter. I have no idea what that is. Dislikes: mops, firearms, variety packs. What? Useless talent. I can do a full split, but that is not useless. Perfect quote. As you think, so shall you become. Confession. I tried to use Adonai's makeup and broke a lipstick. Morgan has makeup? I guess Morgan would need makeup in some instances to hide her appearance, but she doesn't look like a makeup type woman. Then again, this is anime. This is like anime style, so I don't know. Yeah, Sarah is the cutest, goodest girl. She is functionally the daughter of David. David, which apparently was one of Morgan's closest civilian friends, in spite of the fact that she's a murderer. And for some reason, despite the fact that she is a murderer, she feels a very close connection to David, to the point that she almost got herself thrown in prison simply because she wanted to protect Sarah. So, like, the end of the last chapter of episode 1, the whole intrigue behind that was the fact that Morgan was actually trying to protect Sarah the whole time. Which does not make sense if she is purely just a murderer with literally no other complexity to her, who's hiding in plain sight as an attorney. Like, no, she has some other type of... She has other things going on beyond just being a murderer and an attorney. There is something about David and something about Sarah that she feels she wants to preserve, even if it means that she might get caught as a result of it. And she almost did, because in the previous trial, she, like, because of all the loopholes and stuff, it ended up having to be that she had to, like, speak as the person, as the defense. And she did it all because she just didn't want Sarah to get decommissioned and, functionally killed, euthanized. She wanted to prevent that. So, yeah. That's what's interesting about Morgan, is that we know she's we know she's literally a murderer, so which makes sense why she's also a cutthroat lawyer. But then the intrigue is behind, why does she care about David and Sarah in this fashion? Unless there's something interesting going on in her head that neither we nor she necessarily understand yet. Which is why I'm still wondering if the opening scene where we killed those 4 guys, I'm still wondering if that was David that they were torturing, and that was a flashback. I don't know. Trust me, there's nothing cheap about Sarah. But yes, she can take a minute when learning the ropes. Grin and bear it a little while longer. Once she does find her footing, she'll have you worried about your job security in no time. Keep it up. I didn't have to do you the favor of hiring her, you know. Favor? Plenty of people out there who would kill to work at an up-and-coming, bespoke established bar Kintsugi. I think I hear them pounding on the door now. Technically, legally, you didn't hire anyone. I generously agreed to loan you my android during the hours when I have no use for it. These kinds of arrangements aren't uncommon. Androids can, in theory, work 24 hours a day, indefinitely, but their users can't. Parents come home from work, people go to sleep, staff take holidays, offices close for the night. The end result of all that slack is a lot of androids spend a good portion of their operating time waiting around. So the more enterprising owners loaned them out during that downtime, ideally to businesses with complementary working hours. There are plenty of apps and HR software to help arrange it all. But Sarah's apprenticeship wasn't that on the books. After the fallout around David's death settled down, I came to realize exactly how shortchanged I was in our paralegal agreement. She was shortchanged. How shortchanged I was in our paralegal agreement. She's handy for research and rote work, of course, but she barely sleeps, rarely eats, finishes paperwork at lightning speed. I was spending more time finding shit to keep her busy than I was actually working. So she's so efficient that... And of course, I value my alone time. It was one of those long walks of mine that I recalled Reinhardt was having trouble getting this bar up and running. Takes a village to keep the world's most advanced android busy. Yeah, alone, whatever. Sarah's the one who clocks in and clocks out, does the work, cleans the bathrooms, she's the employee. If she was an employee, you'd have to cover her benefits. Not in my current income bracket. I checked 3 times. Wait, you're not taking her paycheck, are you? It's not a paycheck. Don't lawyer me on this shit. Sarah can't earn a paycheck. She's not a person, which is what Morgan had to establish in the trial in order to stop Sarah. Well, that's one of the things she had to say to stop Sarah from getting decommissioned, because the whole problem was that if Sarah was an emergent AI comparable to an actual person, then that means she would need to be immediately destroyed. Because if she were to become a true person, then that means she would be a slave, and that would completely destroy the entire legal system and it would completely change the android industry. So, like, that's one of the big points. It sort of reminds me of the Star Trek episode where they had to prove that Data was in fact a person in order to prevent the Federation from seizing Data as property. This is kind of similar, but in the reverse. Technically, we had to prove that Sarah isn't a person to prevent a bunch of illegal shitstorm around the fact that androids in this universe are literally it's slavery 2.0, just with machines that look like people. Okay, you know, it's technically automation, but you put faces on the robots and it looks a lot like slavery. So they had to prove that Sarah wasn't a person in order to save Sarah and to prevent Morgan from going to prison. But that was all only because Morgan didn't want her to get decommissioned. And so Morgan risked her own imprisonment in order to prove that Sarah was not, in fact, a person, and therefore did not need to be decommissioned, because she is still legally property and not an actual pseudo-emergent AI. Now, Morgan doesn't know if Sarah is if it technically is an emergent AI, but that's what she had to prove in that court case. And, you know, if you go back and you watch the streams where we did that, like, that's what we had to do, or else we would have gone to prison. Which is weird, because, you know, Morgan doesn't have any reason to want to keep Sarah other than she is a memento of David. Which is completely unlike her murderer, her normal murderous self. Her normal attorney self. Like, that's not something that she has any invested interest in doing, other than she genuinely cared about David, apparently. And so she genuinely cares about David's daughter, for some reason. Which is, makes Morgan and Sarah both in a very interesting relationship. Where Sarah doesn't know anything about Morgan being a murderer. She has literally not a single fucking concept of that in her head. She thinks, in fact, she calls Morgan Adonai, which I think is like a Hebrew term. I don't think it's the Hebrew term for like Messiah, but it is like some sort of Hebrew term that was used in the Bible, at least at some point, or in some religious script. So like Sarah literally like compliments Morgan on like a spiritual basis, on a metaphor basis, on an abstract basis. That's how little Sarah suspects Morgan of being an actual evil psycho murderer. And yet simultaneously, Morgan doesn't seem to understand why she cares so much about David and Sarah. So, like, her own murder, the murderous side of herself is something that she doesn't entirely understand, and neither does she entirely understand why she is feeling more empathetic emotions in this scenario, in this overall story. Because normally her wanton concerns and her emotions are very are just a mask, ironically. If she walks like a person and talks like a person and works like a person, the Supreme Court disagrees by 13-0. Yeah, well, Supreme Courts have been wrong about that kind of thing before, haven't they? Shut the fuck up, Microsoft to do. Do I hear a touche? Sarah, tell Boss here what you spend your salary on. Boss? Oh yeah, we haven't even gotten Diamani's profile yet. Okay. Reinhardt Boss Diamani. Wow, he is a tall motherfucker. Pretty skinny, though, for being tall. Blood type A+. Owner and operator of Kintsugi. Kintsugi. Yeah, there's no space. It's not Kintsugi, it's Kintsugi. 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 Okay. Likes, libraries, boating, fast learners, dislikes, marketing, solicitors, signing things, collects ancient coins, pet peeve, web pages that take too long to load. Don't mention speed at which Kintsugi site loads. I have started purchasing cases of wine. What? Wait, what? Wait, that's what those deliveries were? As the wine appreciates, its resale value will increase, especially if you can predict which vintages will be in high demand. Since I don't have a bank account, I can't earn interest in the traditional sense, but if I stay up to date on sommelier reviews, so you'll resell the wine at a profit, and what'll you do with that money? Also, something that I mentioned quite a lot when we were playing episode 1 is that Sarah looks as though David tried to make a genetic daughter that shares the appearance of both David and his boyfriend. So there's a chance that David made Sarah as a gay baby. Like... What? Fucking what? That might just be bullshit on my part, though. It just seems like it makes sense when I because his boyfriend was black, but he was like Asian or something. He was very pale, and as you can see, Sarah here is like caramel colored. Not quite chocolate. And she has wild hair. I have no idea. You know what I forgot? I forgot to cross-reference her eye colors with David and his boyfriend's eye colors. So, I don't know. My theory might hold up, it might not. Stop it, you're making her depressed. I did also purchase a cache of sheet music. What? What for? But practice. You're muttering. Forget it, none of my business. Speaking of business, the place isn't exactly packed. Well, are you volunteering to help with that? There are lawyer bars, right? Right? Where all the lawyers go after trials? Kitsugi could be a lawyer bar. Yeah, those lawyer bars are usually close to the courthouse, though. Just don't. Everything's signed and paid. I can't think about what ifs on location anymore. This is the spot that was available, and I need a soda water with all this stress on my stomach. Sarah, tend bar. What are you buying, stranger? What was that? Boss has been teaching me his bar-side manner. He says that his clientele expect a certain degree of maturity when they come here. And so you're using a deeper voice? Is it not working? Oh, she was using... I didn't even realize that that's what she was doing. Please let me know when you're... Please let me know when you're ready to order. Peruse. Cat? It's a lucky cat. Nya. Did you say something, Adonai? No. I suddenly got the strong impression that there was something you wanted to say. I don't know what you're talking about. As you say. Neko unlocked? What? What do you mean, Neko unlocked? What does that even mean? Inspector Kintsugi. Rhine must have searched for months to find affordable underground real estate that wasn't flooded. Or already filled to the brim with server farms. Putting Sarah on cleaning duty was a good call. If any of the tiling here starts to grime up, it could start feeling like a subway station bathroom real fast. Alright. It's a well-stocked bar. Got tea and coffee, too, if that's what you're into. Nice ambiance, soft lighting, warm on a chill night and cool on a hot day. Now all that's left to do is wait for the customers to stream in. Any day now. Okay, I think that was it. Alright. I've had a long day. Should I just go and order a drink? What does dawdle mean? Like I'm keeping the other customers waiting. That was just a... Okay, that was just a go back. I think I'm ready to order. Of course! Nah, I'll take this, Sarah. Go wipe the tables for a bit. No one has sat at them since I last cleaned them. Then pretend to clean them, like a normal employee. Understood. What's got you so tense? Take a wild guess. Did Sarah ask for a raise? Be serious, Red. What happened last night? Oh. Okay. Either the plot twist is going to be that this is an unrelated event to what we played through. This is either an unrelated event to what we played through earlier that he's talking about, or she actually did that, like, literally last night. Wow. If that's the case, then I wonder who the fuck that green hair man is. I wonder who the fuck that is. Because David had green hair. You know, long green hair, and so did that guy who was captured. Your information was accurate for the most part. A pod of mid-level blue bloods had it. Seems like they were told to sit on it. And they were willing to sell? And were they willing to sell? Nope. Laughed at my price, called me a spoiled Meg, and kicked my butt out the door. They weren't curious where you got your information from? Honestly, no. They rushed me out of there pretty fast once they heard my offer. Were they expecting more company? I got the impression they had work to get back to. Okay. Anything else I should know? Nope. Anything you want to ask me? How did you two meet? The tables. On my second day, you told me not to over-polish them in order to keep things lofty. Lo-fi. Is that an inappropriate of a question? You've lived in the city for decades, boss, but Ed and I didn't move here until she started her apprenticeship at Masters and If you're gonna tell people my whole life story at every possible opportunity, I'll just shred my resume and start mailing you around instead. How we met, huh? Well, that story... not very good. I'll skip to the end and cut to the heart of our relationship, Sarah. I pay Reinhardt a finder's fee, so he tells me where I can get into high-stakes poker games. Really? Oh yeah, I'm so sure that he has no awareness of the fact that you murder people. I have a very good feeling that he is smart and knows that you're a murderer in some capacity, or that you're some other type of criminal. There's no way it's just, oh, he just tells me about poker. No. It's not a lie. Oh, I guess that's how they met. Now you know my terrible secret. Disappointed? It's not illegal to gamble. I don't go to my phone and wager my paycheck stubs on point spreads. I gamble. And since I can't afford the entrance fees for one of those anonymous masked ball cult vibe blimp casinos the rich go to, I counted your boss here to find me tables to play at. Guilty. So you travel to the lower wards to gamble illegally. Truth be told, I've had my suspicions. See, you go out at such odd hours without so much as your phone. You gonna turn me in? A customer. Irashai! Or is it more firm? Irashai. No, it's irashai. Irashai. Because, like, the way this works is that, if this... in Romaji, this is an indicator, like the double consonant is an indicator that the first one is silent, and you stay silent between. So, irashai. Irashai. Not irashai. Or irashai. Like, no. Irashai, you know? Two firm-looking men in finely pressed black suits with shades tinted so dark they must need modded eyes to see from behind them. Despite the subtle color palette, they stand out. It's hard not to in clothes that look expensive. Clothes with some kind of pin on them. Matching pins. Suit noir. Shades slick. More emphasis on the ra. What? No. Irashai. Irashai. Oh, yeah, never mind. That's correct. Yeah, that's basically what I said. Irashai. Yep. Irashai. Oh, thank you. Think I just heard the delivery drones bumping around outside, Sarah. Would you check out the back? Your vintages might have arrived. Go on. Please excuse me, then. Afternoon, then, gentlemen. What can I do for you? Mr. Diamani, pardon us for dropping in without first making an appointment. No troubles at all. Still getting the place cleaned up. I'm awfully embarrassed that I failed to realize the property lay within your borders. If you'd come to me to the back, I'd be happy to settle whatever debt. We look like petty landlords to you? If you owed us tribute, you'd know it by now. My mistake? Well, if you're here for information, I'll gladly wheel and deal. How about you? We're not here to shop either. We're here looking for Morgan. How the fuck do they know Morgan's involved? Or maybe they don't. I don't know who these guys are. Well? That name ring any bells, Mr. Diamani? Right. Listen, boys, I'm not sure... Sorry. Had something blaring in my earbud. I am a Morgan, Esquire, specifically. How can I be of service? Suit Noir. I mostly practice criminal defense, but I do offer a few other services. You two look corporate. I can recommend some good workplace attorneys. I've got a business card somewhere. We're not interested in that. Of course not. Well, I'm flattered that you'd come all the way here to find me. You must have already tried the home office. We can set something up for... You need to come with us now, ma'am. Hey, I thought you said there was nothing I needed to know. Business day is over for me, gentlemen. Can this matter wait until tomorrow? Does it look like it can? Great manners, this one. Time sensitive, then. My rate will have to reflect that. Send us the bill. We can afford it. Music to any lawyer's ears. So, who is we, then? You think you're funny? Compared to you. Morgan. These fine gentlemen are from House Ikariya. On occasion, information you went out of your way to collect in previous episodes will unlock new dialogue. Well, I hope this game is tracking all of my different progresses, then. It pays to stay informed. I'm familiar. Or? I've seen their name in the papers. Plastering their name all over the uptown opera houses and homes for the sick or whatever. Though I didn't recognize that name when those blue bloods were cursing it last night, so maybe that propaganda's working. Doesn't matter how generous they are at galas. They're still the richest and most powerful criminal organization in the city. Rich and powerful, why bother with the criminal qualifier? Sorry, might I ask about the nature of this engagement? The situation is developing, Mr. Diamani. We appreciate your patience. That's not what you want to hear. So I gathered. Your presence has been requested at the family estate, ma'am. For business, or... The Ikariya are always business. Shall we get you your coat? Such gentlemen knew those suits weren't just for show. I can see myself out just fine, though. Adonai? What's going on? Are you going somewhere? That's why they pay me the big bucks. These men are... very athletic. Perhaps I should come with you. If they want to arm wrestle, you'll be the first to know. Call me when you get there, yeah? If I'm actually in danger, I won't be conscious when I arrive, but I appreciate the thought. Boss? Who were those men, really? New clients for Morgan, really. Hopefully. Hopefully? Yeah, hopefully. Because if House Ikariya puts her on retainer, she'll be able to buy you as much wine as you like. What do you mean... But what do you mean by house? Alright, pay attention. If I'm gonna lecture, might as well try to teach. Start with ice. You want a lot of it, but low surface area, so never use crushed, okay? Starts to melt into the liqueur, waters the whole thing down. Understood. 1.5 ounces of vodka, and what do we look for in a good vodka? Smoothness. Correct. It's the mark of quality, making the bitter go down easy. Yeah, the taste of alcohol is the primary reason I don't bother trying to drink. Like, it's just disgustingly bitter. It tastes like motor. It tastes like something that would, like, you would pick up out of your fucking cleaner cabinet. Not that I've ever drank bleach before and have any idea how it tastes. I'm sure it's awful. So, the nobility. You know what that is? Historically, the ruling class as enforced through economic or military might and maintained by familial relations. Juice of a full lime. Look for a little spring and consistent color across the skin. Juice full of lime, look for a little spring and a consistent color. Nobility. Old money is another word for it, and the older it is, the slower it moves. Old money. Only so much wealth you could accrue in one lifetime collecting from serfs and selling houses. But the Industrial Revolution comes along, shows the world what real wealth acquisition looks like, then you get new money, which always dwarfs the old money. Inflation and split inheritances shave away at any generational wealth that's liquid. We're getting an economic lesson from a visual novel. Now, new money and old money, they don't like each other. Doesn't new money eventually become old money? If the old money can help it, no one ever becomes old money. Triple sec, 1 ounce. My family was new money, tried to make the transition. Joined the right clubs, shake the right hands, make the right marriages, laugh at the bad jokes. Bad jokes can be entertaining in their own right. Not the kind of bad I'm talking about. I don't understand. That's alright, you shouldn't need to know. But what do you mean your family was new money? Well, now they're old money. Times changed. About 30 years ago, a recession, depression, civil unrest, political upheaval. Most people, they were so scared they could barely think about tomorrow, let alone next year. But a decent man's chaos is a cruel man's investment opportunity. So while everyone else was panic selling off everything they could to buy food and water, a certain type of personality was buying, for pennies on the dollar, as it were. Give me a peel from that lime, as shallow as possible. Any white you see is just bitter. 1 ounce of gin. They were rough years, but they passed. At the end of it all, some were left standing with a lot more than they came in with. New money. A new kind of new money. The new nobility. Neo-ability. Neo-ability. New nobility, neo-ability. If you're writing a think piece. Derogatory slang for, Noval, rich families and their networks. Slang term for new money families that arose in the second half of the 21st century amid global economic turmoil. The name carries a negative connotation and is meant to criticize the way said families supposedly style themselves as nobility, or even as a second estate, that administers global power alongside the first governments and third corporations. Use is also frequently searched for, who are neo-ability families? How to marry into wealth? Define noval. Yeah, Unabashed oligarchs and devourer barons. When the governments of the world tried to re-privatize the industries they had taken over with emergency powers, they were there to snatch them. And they started at the bottom: steel, fuel, grain, machine parts, medicine. Here enters House Ikariya. Or that's how they exited. They went into the red decade as the Ikariya cartel, drug smugglers and extortionists, thieves and murderers. They came out as one of the richest, most respectable names in the country. Not that they actually stopped doing any of that thieving and murdering, mind you. Put the top on tight, then shake. So they are a crime family, like the mob? This is the 21st century, kid. It's muddier than that. House Ikariya is not literally one family, not even one race or creed. They're simply the strongest criminal organization in the city, on paper. but not in practice. Practice is what they're lacking. Haven't had to get their hands dirty, haven't had to maintain a presence in the lower wards in years. They make their profits from investments, blackmail, and more than a little insider trading. So they're criminal, yes, but their muscles atrophied. Time for a taste test. Ugh, that's not right at all. The hell did I forget? Boss? There must have been other criminal organizations 30 years ago. Others poised to take advantage of the changing times. Yeah. So what did the Ikariya do to settle themselves apart from the rest back then? Ugh, stupid. Most important ingredient. Cold blood. Drop of grenadine. Ooh. The Lady Maria. Ooh. It's beautiful. This is nothing new. We'd use a frosted glass if this was for a customer. Looks like a ruby in the right lighting. If you do end up helping Red working with the Ikariya, don't let the warmth of their golden furnishings confuse you. All that glitters is cold. So they more or less just murdered all the competition in the same bracket as them, just with cold, dispassionate efficiency. That's what I believe he's getting at. It was a quiet and uneventful drive in the back of the limousine. The privacy, at least, was nice. But with Abbott and Costello riding in front, I had no way of getting information out of them, not even passively. So instead, I spent the whole ride trying to play out all the different ways that this could go. I haven't liked any of them so far. I suppose I should have felt relief or gratitude when we pulled up outside of an imposing skyscraper instead of an alley. I suppose it's a good sign that no one's putting a bag over my head or stuck a needle in my neck. Oh, boy. But I don't feel like celebrating. For all I know, they really don't have a clue about what I did in the lower wards last night. I am shocked that she fucking murdered that guy, murdered all those dudes last night. I want to know who the fucking green hair man is. Because he looks like David. Unless this whole fucking thing... Unless it turned out that David, faked his death. And Morgan knew the whole time and she had to prove his death. No, there's no fucking way that's the story. I guess the green hair man has to be somebody else. Or again, the story is tricking me and she did something else last night that was not the thing that we played out. But she really sounded like that's exactly what was going on because she got the mask and her friend was asking about the mask as well. So, it has to be the same event. So I really wonder who the fucking green hair man was. Oh, wait, maybe that's the guy she's about to meet here at this estate. That might make sense. For all I know, I really don't have a clue about what I did in the lower wards last night. But for some reason, they've placed their attention on me. And there's a little I hate more than unwanted advances. I'm also not a fan of being made to wait. Why am I just sitting out here? Whoops. I skipped to that last dialogue on excellent. Why am I just sitting out here? In here? We were too late. Only by a few He filled the time slot. Already? We've got no chance of... Maybe, if his other meeting went well. Are we on hold, gentlemen? In the world's most expensive waiting room? Quiet. I take it he's glaring at me behind those lenses, but I'm more interested in the sweat glistening on his forehead. Somehow, of the three of us, I'm the most relaxed. This is becoming embarrassing. Can I at least take in the view while we're here? You can take photos if you like, so long as you're quiet. Really? No, your phone won't work in here. Go figure. Well, I'm gonna at least examine what's around. Admire. The illusion isn't unimpressive, I guess. Windows into the heavens sparkling like raindrops across a puddle. It might even be appealing if I wasn't trying to be something if it wasn't trying to be something it's not. You look up and see hexagons above you in the lower wards, too. Rich or poor, people just can't imagine themselves under an open sky anymore. That's sad. Not even in their wildest dreams. Oh, wait, I do need my, Wait, can I use WASD too? Yes, I can, okay. I'm doing this because I want to save battery on my mouse. Is it trying too hard to look unconcerned if I sit down and start reading the news? Maybe, but my boredom outweighs my apprehension at the moment. Not my fault that they failed to be sufficiently intimidating. PSS propositions City ahead of next month's convention. Next month, the city will play host to one of the most competitive political conventions in recent memory, with Senator Mathings expected to face significant opposition from party outliers before securing his nomination. Okay, yeah, so beyond a shadow of a doubt, the event we played out literally is the same event that Morgan's talking about having done last night. This was a linear story. That was not a flashback. I still really am curious as to what the fuck was going on with all that event, but I guess we'll see. Hopefully we'll see. And the reason this is confirmed is because of Senator Mathings. When the Blue Bloods were torturing Green Hair Man, they asked him who our senator was, and he said Mathings. And Mathings is talking about he's in the news right here talking about his campaign to get reelected. So. But while the broader nation eagerly anticipates the oncoming political circus, city officials are already under fire for supposed lack of sufficient convention security. The city has already approved a record-high monthly budget for the police department, including fully unrestricted overtime for officers of all ranks. But a coalition of private security services, including White Adder, Fang, and Demico, has released a press statement urging City Council to consider contracting their services ahead of the convention. Urging City Council to consider contracting their services ahead of the convention. Okay, so there's some private security services. Okay. Heartbreak was bad enough. Now we're hearing that cops are dying in the lower wards. When are city officials going to say enough is enough, said Demico, head of press relations Arthur Gall. We have the utmost respect for all first responders. None of us are blaming the hardworking police for these failures. How could they succeed when political insiders insist that they try to apprehend criminals with one hand tied behind their back? Our contracted forces have world-class training in crowd pacification, preemptive de-escalation, and enhanced interrogation tactics, and any of the subhuman scum who empathize with anarchists won't dare to leave their mothers' basements once we can get our boots on the ground. That's a guarantee. By the way, based. Fucking arrest these motherfuckers who riot and shit. Do it. Though it has nothing to do with real life. It's fucking 60 years into the future. Yeah, I would be... Wow, yeah, I'd be 91 in 2086. I could live to see this game's world when I'm an old man. Oh, right, sorry. City Council declined to... I started reading it in my head instead of out loud, oops. City Council declined to comment when we reached out to them to ask whether they would be issuing a request for proposals on such services. The total city population is expected to swell next month as the national political spot draws lobbyists, delegates, political action committees, and voters in ahead of the 2-week-long process. Most of the community members we spoke to expressed optimism about the increase in economic activity and tourism the convention is expected to bring, but some who refused to give us their permission to publish their identifying info rudely and loudly voiced their criticism. They're optimistic, but they aren't telling you who the fuck they are. 2 weeks for a convention when the nominee was decided 2 years ago? It's a joke, and we're the punchline. Footing the bill to pay cops to stand around outside parties full of thousands of do-nothing staffers and campaign managers. This article is presented to you advertiser-free thanks to contributors of our generous donors, including Daniel Mass of the Daniel Mass Foundation, Rebecca E. Jones of the Rebecca E. Jones Foundation, Jessica and Ronald McGuile of the McGuile Foundation for the Arts and Sciences, the Rockford Fund for Public Broadcasting, and readers like you, thank you. Convention next month. Yep. I suppose it's less offensive than a bare advertisement or paywall, but why list your donors mid-article? All it does is make my eyes glaze over. Whatever, I got the important part. The city's hosting that convention next month, putting pressure on the council to vote on... whether or not to bring in private security contractors on top of the massive policing budget. It makes little difference to me. Cops and mercs have different quirks, but they all share the same blind spots. I'll be just fine. How the average law-abiding citizen will put up with them clogging the streets for 2 weeks, though? Not like it'll be the least popular political decision made next month. Everyone knows Mathings will be the candidate. That was decided years ago. Man, the fucking bureaucracy to make their government work sounds fucking, like, insufferable. The contested convention will just be him finding a balance between how much public opposition he's willing to stomach. Find a balance between how much public opposition he's willing to stomach against how many favors he feels like giving out. Oh yeah, he could just promise things to people. This country is already a circus without any bread. You'd think the least they could do was make the performances entertaining. What was that in the article about cops dying in the lower wards anyway? Pretty heavy-handed just to make up that kind of thing, even when pearl clutching and pitching yourself at the same time. Okay, but Morgan, what if the people you killed were undercover cops? And you simply didn't pay any attention to that? And now now this giant mercenary police force might be here because of her murdering people. So this might be Morgan's fault. Go fish? If I weren't hyper-aware of the flickering sky hanging over my head, this could make for a lovely watering hole. But those probably aren't even real fish down there. Literal children are capable of keeping goldfish alive, so of course the 0.1 percenters can't manage it. Maybe they'd spin it. When their pallid bodies float to the top because of some idiot raised the water temperature 2 degrees, they'd certainly be easy to scoop out. If you're an impatient, undignified idiot, you could argue that it's an efficient way to fish. Well, I've looked around at everything that caught my eye, and now I'm all out of ideas. Everything except... maybe they don't know we're here. I'm gonna try knocking. What are you... Hey! Before I get the chance, creaking oak draws my attention to an alternate entrance on the other side of the water. Interesting. Blue glowing eyes. Tons of people behind him. Stop staring and get a move on. If that's the kind of man walking out of this place, Who's waiting for me inside? "4:09 p.m., August 14th, 2086. Ikariya Tower, residential floors. Grand Hall. Is this going to be like a hitman mission or something? No. Pomp and circumstance, ceremony and ritual. For some reason, I thought that the Mafia, of all people, would be a little more efficient in their execution. A little more honest about what they are. Evidently not. Artifice with every glance, costumes and makeup abound. Is this disappointment? That even here in the supposed bowels of the underworld, there's no escaping the etiquette of it all? Well, Morgan, these people exist due in part to the society that refuses to change, at least via government. So, like, if they want to bring about changes, whether or not it means cultural practices or just money, like, that's sort of just behind what they do. And like, that's like one of the points of them being who they are, is to perpetuate their culture that may not otherwise be preserved by the society that is socially moving nowhere, but technologically only moving up. Like, the technology and the living space is changing exponentially, but people's behaviors aren't. Society and social systems aren't. So the result is that criminal organizations are absolutely going to be here trying to preserve their cultural practices so that they aren't fucking drowned in an ocean of technology controlled by corporations. So yeah, like, I buy into this very heavily, that etiquette is important. To such a degree, they'll probably kill you if you disrespect it. So, yeah. Makes sense to me. Guess Morgan was hoping people would be more cold than she would be as cold as her, but they're not. Uptight woman. She's the one? Doesn't look like much. Peons? Suddenly their posture stiffens even further, a true feat. Their necks suddenly turn to a pair of doors in the back, each of them attuned to some signal I'm not receiving. Be still, the young master returns. Stern fellow. Okay. Short little motherfucker, alright. You're late. Hold on. Wait. Young master, sir, Everyone slow down. We came as soon as we found her, sir. Traffic was... This is some sassy lost child. Silence. Yes, sir. What time were you told to return by? 4 o'clock, sir. And what time is it now? Permission to check my phone. You're late. You were tasked with finding one woman and bringing her here in a timely manner. Sir, You'll speak when I tell you, and not one word further, or else I'll have your teeth removed. By the way, by way of curbside. Is this a prank? Am I being recorded? He who wishes to fight must first count the cost. So says Sun Tzu. Please let this be a prank. And I don't think you can fathom the cost your tardiness has incurred. If the lead-up to my execution is just some kid reading from Art of War, I might just... What is the #1 rule in this family? Timeline, sir! When money gets wasted, it can be replaced. But time only goes one way. It's always running out. The loss is permanent. Every second wasted is a scar on this house's face. Timeliness is next to godliness. So say I. Oh, God. So if you two ever waste my time, the house's time, again, expect to be dragged through hell. I'm already there. It's an edgy teenager that's at the head of the Ikariya gang, I guess. House. Now both of you get out. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Useless. You. Red woman, you're being addressed. Forget pride. I just want to get this over with as fast as possible. You're the lawyer, correct? You may answer. As fast as possible. I am a lawyer, Morgan, criminal defense. Mr. How should I address you? As all outsiders do, by my name. Makoto of House Ikariya. All right. Height, short motherfucker, blood type A-, weight. Such impudence. Occupation, heir apparent, unemployed, student. Likes biographies, shogi, and amber. Dislikes, tardiness, tarnish, group assignments. Favorite figures, Saladin, Sun Tzu, Hannibal. He's one of these overeducated children that have power and think that their education makes them super smart in conjunction with them having power in their family. No wonder Morgan is, like, immediately just, ugh. God. She's probably dealt with children like this before. Relaxes by building, painting models. Fucking fuck you. You, Morgan Criminal Defends, have the great honor of being summoned before me. Don't bother bowing. Once you start, you'll end up prostrated all day, and we have important work to do. Right, out of an abundance of respect for your time, Makoto. I should let you know that I still have no idea what I'm doing here. Oh. I'll have them kneel on a bed of nails later or some such thing. Mrs. Defends? Mrs.? Really? The house has need of your legal services. Oh. Would you give me a moment to clear my throat? I need to switch gears. An instant. Right then, so you want to hire me. One of our own is being slandered by multiple homicide charges. You will defend him. You want to hire me, and I'm flattered, Makoto, but did you pull my name out of a hat? Pick a random page in the phone book? I have many books on my phone libraries, full of esoteric knowledge spread across countless tomes. He doesn't even know the expression of phone book as in the paper. He doesn't even know the expression. He's so highly educated, he doesn't even know about a plebeian thing like that from the ancient past of 100 years ago. You will have to be more specific. Sorry, I misspoke. What I mean is, this is House Ikariya. You must keep a small army of lawyers on retainer. Surely any one of them would be happy to help you. True, we have lawyers, competent ones, expensive ones, and some who are both. But the best of them all are preoccupied. That's it? They're all just preoccupied? Preoccupied means busy. Thanks. But I'm still not sure how my name, specifically. Do you have a customer survey you want filled out, Mrs. Defends? You were recommended. What does it matter how it came about? Normally it wouldn't matter. But when the client I'm recommended to is one of the richest, most well-connected families in the country, it gives me pause. I don't have any friends in high places. Not anymore. Oh. I think I really want to know why her and David ended up as close as they were. She did say that they went to the same university. But, like, what I wonder is why David specifically... She almost has something like a love for him. Not like romantically, but for a fucking psycho like her. It's like she loved him, in a way that not even she understands. Like, she doesn't even understand why she cares so much about him and about Sarah. She doesn't even know. And I'm so curious as to why. Because she seems rather asexual as well. So, like, it that makes it hard to see this as a favor. Not when my employer doesn't even know my goddamn name. Of course, my apologies. No doubt you have other questions. Very well, I'll permit you to ask them. Such a gentleman. Oh yeah, I have to get my... Oh, wait, no, I can just... Yeah, I still don't need my mouse. This manor. I'll admit I was a little taken aback to step off an elevator and into your enclosure out there. The gardens? Yes, our groundskeepers work hard on them. Does the illusion of the sky come from a live recording of somewhere else? Or is it generated programmatically? That'd take quite the equation. It is impressive, yes. As for how it works, I don't have the technical minutiae in front of me at the moment. That's okay. Of course it is. A lion does not concern himself with the exterior decorations of the sheep. It is your exterior and your decorations. What does it matter anyway? If you want the specifics so badly, I'll have one of the servants put you in contact with the contracting firm. That's all right. Something tells me the consultation alone would break my bank account. The black suits. I do appreciate the warm welcome, Makoto of House Ikariya, really. But legal consultants are usually more private than this. Are we certain we need the peanut gallery? Let it not be said that House Ikariya is not accommodating of its guests. We're more than capable of compensating for this nut allergy you allude to. I love well-written, stupid, educated people. Like, people who are super educated and think they're smarter than they actually are because they've educated themselves in specific things. I love when a well-written, stupid, educated person appears in a story. They're so funny. They're so fucking retarded, but, like, I can quote Sun Tzu. I'm so smart. Holy shit, I memorized some quotes from this one dude. I'm so smart. I totally have more deductive reasoning than anyone. That's so sweet of you. But do all these guards really need to be present for this conversation? If you're referring to the additional security, it can't be helped, circumstances being what they are. Circumstances. And if you're referring to my retainers in general, then I suggest you step back into the garden and take a deep breath. Clearly the city's fumes do not agree with your constitution. You must be lightheaded if you're to think that you're worthy to hold a one-on-one audience with the next head of this illustrious house. He's a prodigy to be this insufferable at such a young age. Oh yes. House Ikariya. If I wasn't brought here because of what happened last night, then this is just another job. Meaning all of this starting back at the bar, this has all been their idea of a power move. Thank you for insisting that I get to visit your estate in person. It's beautiful here. An oasis of old-world sensibility amidst a desert of steel and neon eyesores, is what the house elders say. I've never seen anything like it. It matches your family's reputation for class. Ha! My family's reputation is power, not class. I'd take it a step further and guess you're renowned for violence rather than power. But that's a moot point. Violence can be classy. And from how this house is talked about in the headlines I read on the drive over, the nature of your family's reputation seems to vary greatly depending upon who you ask. Some think you've got half the gangs in the city under your control. Others think you've left all that behind and are no worse than any other corporate family. Are you expecting me to ask you what you think? What I think is that I'll need some basic information if I'm to adequately defend your interests. We're financiers. You don't say. Lending, investing, taking over, buying out. The Ikariya Financial Group was founded nearly 2 centuries ago. I wonder if that's true in real life. Loaning funds is high risk and high reward, but as you can see, our results speak for themselves. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna Google this. Is there a real company in real life called the Ikariya Foundation? Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. The Ikariya Financial Group is a... Okay. Okay. Alright, so it would appear that Ikariya Financial Group is actually a play on a pre-existing company that is spelled Ikariya, not Ikariya. So, like, remove the Y. And there is, in fact, a company, like, that has Ikariya on it. So this is like a spoof on a pre-existing company they're using to tie into this world to make it look more alive, which I'm totally fine with. The Ikariya Financial Group is a private investment company and one of the nation's most exclusive asset managers as of 2086. We believe that investing should be accessible to anyone, and that's best accomplished by tailoring their investment portfolio to suit their specific needs. Interested in working with us? Let's get started on your profile below so we can determine your options. Remember, even if you unfortunately aren't good fit for IFG itself, we'll always be happy to set you up with one or more of our partners that are better suited to your class. Ikariya Financial Group? Fancy way of saying they got their start as a mobster loan sharks. It's not impossible to get this rich with loan sharking alone, but such unsavory work wouldn't get them into the ballrooms and boardroom tiers of society. You gotta rip people off with mortgages to do that. Is lending the house's only income stream? No. The Ikariya, our holding company, the house controls any... Through Ikariya, our holding company, the house controls any number of what a civilian like you might call legitimate enterprises. And yes, we did found the Renegade Pharmaceutical Corporation, but what's past is prologue. The Renegade Pharmaceutical... But what's past is prologue. That's sort of implying that the pharmaceutical corporation was able to break off from them. Renegade? They're a drug company, one of the biggest. You're saying you've no relation to Renegade presently? The company went public years ago, and Ikariya divested our shares not long after. We were given 1 seat on the board as a formality. That's the extent of it. Given? A family like this only takes. Why is he suddenly so humble? He doesn't know the meaning of the word if he's downplaying their pull within Renegade. I don't know if it's Renegade like a name or Renegade like regeneration or something. Renegade is a global leader in pharmaceutical research, development, and distribution, a company that puts your health before any other concern. Our groundbreaking research into combating modern medical challenges has helped millions live happy, healthy lives, and we're proud to keep fighting that fight as we pursue our corporate goals. Put our medicine in cabinet of every home. Put patients' lives and improved patients' lives and their communities. Minimize our environmental footprint through sustainable ventures. Operate with dignity and pride in our ethics. Deliver consistent, steady growth to our investors. Shortly after our founding, our researchers developed metinformulin, the first orally ingested treatment for type 2 abnormal diabetes. Oh. Freeing millions of adolescents suffering from its effects from being subjected to painful injections. Since then, we've gone on to improve our formulation, and that constant dedication to perfecting our medicines has made us a national leader in pharmaceutical biosimilars. We're obsessed with perfection and driven by purpose. We'll never stop searching for the next step in the evolution of what it means to be healthy. I don't know any people who have diabetes, but I wonder how. But if I did, I would ask them, how significant is this idea of an ingestible oral treatment for type 2 diabetes? I wonder how revolutionary that is, or if that's sort of just bullshit nonsense of an accomplishment. Then the house must have a reason to want to distance themselves from the company. You're being very modest, Makoto, and more than a little vague. It's only polite. It's unnecessary talking to your lawyer. You aren't my lawyer, Mrs. Dufenz, but you will be working for me. So you'll have to become accustomed to putting your needs second. He's deflecting, and if he's trying to be subtle about it, he's not doing it well. I doubt it's possible a company with as big a boot heel as Rennigan has no relation to anything that happens in this city, but I'll drop it for now. I'm in no rush to wade into boardroom politics again anytime soon. I'd like to know a bit more about you, actually. How long have you... I am the only son of Raphael Ikariya and the only grandson of Daisuke Ikariya, CEO of the Ikariya Financial Group, patriarch of this family, and chairman of the house. Wow. It'd be a shame if somebody killed you. I gather that those titles are all one and the same. As one destined to succeed the headship, commanding the family's servants is my responsibility and my birthright. So if one of them needs a lawyer, it falls to you. When our loyal men, women, or their families need help, it is my solemn duty to ensure that they are taken care of. And your age? What a boorish question! I knew that peasants raised outside our stratus had little understanding of the finer things, but I assumed that one with law degree would be educated to know what is and isn't appropriate to discuss. Just because I am younger than some does not mean I am any less capable of managing the people who work for me. Does it, men? Sir! No, sir! You definitely command their respect. That is no coincidence. One of the most frequently noted characteristics of great men who have remained great is loyalty to their subordinates. So says George S. Patton. That's so interesting. This is an important point. Perhaps another quote is called for. I don't think that's necessary. I'll grant you another. If soldiers are punished before they have grown attached to you, they will not prove submissive. And unless submissive, they will be practically useless. So says Sun Tzu. Back to back. Yes, a second quotation was called for in this instance, if only to emphasize to you that no one stays useless to House Ikariya for very long, one way or another. Thank you for indulging my curiosity so graciously, Makoto. Conquer the stingy through generosity. So says Buddha. Correct. Perhaps your education is not quite as deficient as I feared. But I should make clear that in this case I was using the quote to subtly imply that you are stingy with your own graciousness. Got it? Got it? Yep. Shall we move on? I believe you mentioned a homicide? Multiple homicides. Tell me more. My head of security was arrested by the police last night in the lower wards. That's the green hair man. They found him brutally beaten, drugged, and tortured. Morgan. Morgan. Your homicidal obsession has become a problem for you. And instead of bringing him straight to a hospital, they arrested him for murder. He's been framed, and you must prove his innocence. This is an oh shit moment. She's like, oh, fuck. on instant. Is something wrong with your voice? Is this that peanut allergy you mentioned? No, I just lost my train of thought for a second there. I'm not used to my luck changing this fast. One of the richest families in the city wants to pay me to prove a man's innocent of a crime I framed him for. Right then, might I ask why he was found in the lower wards? I get the impression that Ikariya territory is generally positioned more vertically. This whole city is our territory, but it's true that our presence is felt more strongly in some areas than others. They captured him early yesterday. He was ambushed by cowards and dragged down to that stain of a neighborhood to be tortured senselessly. Well, he was tortured, I can attest to that much, but I don't believe in senseless violence. Oh, really? You don't believe in senseless violence, Morgan? So what you do isn't senseless? There's always a purpose, and it's usually staring you in the face. People just don't like making eye contact. You have any idea why he was taken, or by whom? It was the Blue Bloods. They made no effort to hide it. In a worthy opponent, I might call that commendable, but knowing them, they're just too stupid to value deniability. I'm sure. And I'm sure there's no love lost between your groups, but kidnapping and torturing is beyond the pale. I agree. And the police are even worse. I expected no help from those incompetent fools, but these charges they're utterly ridiculous. Of course they are, but don't worry, I'm confident to think they want to pin 5 murders on him. What? 5? 5? Did you say 5? Yes, 5! It's absurd! I can only take credit for 4 bodies. Acting so Mai and Heidi, so affronted, so eager to blame us for the death of one of their officers. That is a thought I had earlier. Or yesterday. Because they were talking about a police officer getting killed in the lower wards, and I was like, oh, was one of the Blue Bloods an undercover police officer? No. No. A police officer came after Morgan killed 4 people, and somehow the police officer died. Ooh, this is bad. Because this means that not only do these gangs have a large presence in this lawsuit she's about to be a part of, the police are also about to be involved. So that's fucking crazy. That means she's gonna have the police scrutinizing her during this whole thing. A dead cop? Is this what those mercs were advertising themselves with? What do you mean one of their officers? Was there a UC or... No, they've made this ridiculous claim that he killed some uniform while resisting arrest. As if a member of our house would fear prison. I should have never dared to think I got lucky here. These circumstances sound very complex, Makoto, and the police take the death of one of their own very seriously. What makes you so certain of this man's innocence? Because this man's name is Sosuke Ikariya. Oh. So... Is he talking about the cop or the guy? Or the security guy? Because either way, that's big. Because that means that their own plant that they had in the police force was killed. But if the green hair man is actually one of the Ikariyas, that means she framed one of these people. She framed one of these people as for her crime. So they're gonna scrutinize her, and the police are gonna be scrutinizing her. So she has two different forces that are going to, like, put her through a meat grinder, and she has to figure out a way to get out of this somehow. And I wonder if that's even possible. The Hound! I've known him all my life. All 3 or 4 years of it. There is no individual more honorable, more devoted, more trustworthy, and not once have I ever known him to be violent, impulsive. He didn't do this. I know he didn't do this, but proving that is your job. About that. I haven't actually accepted the job yet, Makoto, but you will. If for no other reason than because we shall pay you more than you customarily receive for a contract. Considerably more. Not everything's a question of money. Yes, your meaning is taken. It needn't be silver and gold. You'll have no complaints with your compensation. The favor House Ikariya can go a long way in this city. As can our wrath. I don't appreciate being threatened. I don't find it funny, even coming from a kid. However, if the state thinks whoever killed those 4 blue bloods was also killed the cop, I can't afford to sit this hand out. Because if they discover that she killed even one of the blue bloods, then they'll get her on not just all the blue bloods she killed, but also the police officer she killed. So we're talking about something that she could potentially describe. Like, she could potentially make up a very elaborate and provable story that, like, it was a fight that she had to win, and she was cornered, and there was an amount of self-defense to it, and she could definitely argue it down to, like, manslaughter and end up with charges that would allow her to escape prison eventually. But not if she kills a cop. If the police believe that she killed a cop, then, like, that plus the other killings, she would just be in prison forever. It would be life in prison. So she has to insert herself into this scenario and manipulate it, or else she'll go to prison. Or else there's a massive non-zero risk that she will lose her entire freedom for the rest of her life. So she can't sit it out. They'll go over every centimeter of that building. One wrong move, one hair out of place. Oh yeah! That's another thing. I was wondering, like, it's not just fingerprints that, like, even now in modern world, there are tools that let you identify people based upon, like, detritus dust that you just swab off the ground. Like, unless Morgan was wearing, like, a bodysuit containing all of the particulates of her that could potentially be on her body, then it's not possible to fully erase everything. Which means that the police, yeah, they're gonna have the best possible forensic investigation tools for this, which means it's almost certain that if there's even one little thing that she left behind, one little piece of detritus, then she's fucked. Sure, so she needs to be able to insert herself into all of this to figure out what's happening and figure out how to manipulate it, or else she's probably fucked, like, badly. If I lose here, I lose. Period. But if I win, throwing an Ikariya-sized wallet in the pot beforehand is all upside. I understand, Makoto of House Ikariya. I'll take Sosuke's case. You say that as if it were ever in doubt. A true prodigy. But he might be right. Maybe it never was. I choose to put that gun into this Sosuke's hands when I could have just plunged that knife into his temple. Yeah, if she had killed Sosuke, then it would just be gang warfare in the Undercity. There would be no need for a lawsuit. It would just lead to more escalation between the gangs, and that would be it. So I guess you could argue that her mercy got her into more trouble, but that's arbitrary though, because she also would not be in trouble if she just didn't fucking kill people, but for some reason she just likes to kill people. You know, she has yet to give any reason to anybody. Maybe the line drawn from that moment to the razor edge I'm walking right now is perfectly straight. A line drawn from one point to another is always perfectly straight. A better metaphor would be a bullet's trajectory. For all the talk of wind resistance and breathing patterns and the Coriolis effect and chaos theory, you can't exactly act surprised when your shots land right where the crosshairs were pointing. Morgan's my last name, by the way, before you start writing any checks. You should have enunciated! Why? In transit. Gonna check my sound again. Okay. Hey there, boss. Of course I'm fine. What did you think was going to happen? Yeah, all good news. I've got quite the paycheck coming my way. Maybe bad news for you if you get a large crowd tonight. Yeah, tell Sarah to meet me at the police station address I'm about to send. Oh, Oh, wow. I've got work for her to do. There will be quite the paycheck indeed waiting for me, assuming I can win. But can I afford to accept it? Ugh. Hey. He's texting her aunt. Her aunt is from Gen Z. Were any of those jokes around the office about your clients being connected to organized crime true? What? Is this some kind of honeypot? Trying to get a grasp on something. Now I know you're baiting me. World's easiest, that's what she said layup. I still basket that shit, though I don't give a fuck. Why do you make everything so hard? Come on. Like, come on, Freckles. Low-hanging fruit. I have no idea what you're talking about. Why do you make everything so hard? Oh yeah, also her great aunt, or her aunt, is a bit of a whore. and proud. Why do you make everything so hard? That's low-hanging fruit. Ugh. But then Morgan is like, ugh. Obviously. Why are you asking me about mafia shit, though? I'm working on a case for the Ikariya, whom I assume you've heard of. Definitely. Under circumstances that are probably vulgar. Absolutely. Oh god, she's like fucked people from this family or something. Which you'd be happy to brag about to me. Anytime. But I'm not well positioned to turn down the job outright. So I'd like to know whether they'll be resistant about parting ways afterward. Why? Do you not like getting paid lots of money? I don't like being chained. Fair enough. So you're like, just asking for my advice? The aura loss is incredible. She's a zoomer. She's a zoomer because it's fucking 60 years in the fucking future. She's a zoomer old lady. Not gonna attempt to parse that. I doubt you ever could. My generation's sense of humor is practically impregnable. It was a very basic non sequitur, Auntie. It just wasn't funny. Not even. A non sequitur would be, what's the charge? That's just getting back on topic. The charge is homicide. 5 counts. Meh. You're probably fine. All the stuff you hear about mobsters being clingy with their lawyers, it's because they don't want anyone who's been through their underwear drawers running around, telling tales. Whatever poor fucker they pinned multiple homicides on is obviously not anyone important. I don't think he was framed. Not by his own people. Nah, pinned as in stuck with. Like a chore. Powerful people, mob or no. If they get lawyers, it's for a tax evasion and conspiracy charges. Dirty work's left to the pawns. And the whole point of a pawn is you don't have to think twice about trading them off. Alright. I guess I know the rumors are true then. Yet you uncovered my cool fucking secret. Listen, actors, singers, celebs, they all like expensive things and being the center of attention. Mobsters have the money to burn and want the cologne of legitimacy. Everyone wants what they can't have. Okay, chill, Okay, chill, F. Scott Fitzgerald. Great-looking Gatsby ass! I still pine for thee, motherfucker. What? I know her aunt is a whore, but she's so funny. All I'm saying is there's mutually beneficial arrangements to be made between the rich and famous, and the rich and infamous. So you bet your ass I was in those rooms, negotiating appearance fees, and taking my 30%. 30%? You really are shameless. That's what she said. All right. Thanks as always for the sage counsel. Hey, if you're really feeling grateful, do me a solid and call your rents. They say they never hear from you. And I know you can't be that busy. If you're bored enough to talk to me, they're the ones who are busy. Wow. It's like an hour later. I think it was like 4 p.m. something or other. Obviously, I wasn't sure what would happen after I left that crime scene, and I wasn't sure what I'd find walking in here to speak to my client. But I definitely wouldn't have bet the next time I saw this man alive, he'd actually look worse. Wow. Sosuke Ikariya. So he's either, like, a cousin, or somebody who married into... I don't know. Did you not hear me? I said I'm your lawyer. Oh, I heard you. I'm just not interested in wasting my breath responding. I'm sorry, is there a misunderstanding here? Not at all. I understand exactly what you are. You and your fellow... Your companion is staring at me very intently. Sarah, blink. You're embarrassing me in front of the Yakuza. That's a very dated word. You'd really prefer I call you an orca? I'd prefer you give up and leave. What are you talking... I'm sure they told you I'd been softened up. That they'd broken me, and I'd be ready to sign whatever you put in front of me. Sorry I disappoint you. But the Hound of Ikariya doesn't heal. Cool. Sosuke, I'm gonna repeat myself plainly and slowly because you clearly have multiple head injuries. I am not a lawyer. I am your lawyer. Ah. Right then. Very good. Thank you for coming. I apologize if I misspoke just now. I'd misspeak too if I'd lost as much blood as you. Morgan, Esquire. I'll be representing you from here on out. Sosuke of House Ikariya. Sarah, paralegal and bartender. You're very young to have 2 jobs, or tend bar. Well, it is only part-time. Right. So tell us, Sosuke of House Ikariya, what is your routine? You look very fit. What? Are you asking about... Do you not have me on file? Sorry, which firm are you from? DDD, MPM? I'm in private practice. You mean you're not a mob lawyer? No, but please don't hold it against me. Everyone has to start the path to corruption somewhere. There are serious risks involved in representing a man with my background against charges like these. It's very sweet of you to... They say I killed a cop, miss. I realize I may look a sorry state at the moment, but I've not fallen so low that I'd sully the house's name by dragging a civilian into... Makoto thought differently. The young master, you've seen him? How is he? Where is he? Is he unharmed? He was sitting pretty atop a literal throne surrounded by armed guards last time I checked. Thank you for that. No one's told me anything, and If the young master has spoken on this matter, I won't go against his judgment. But I do hope you understand what you're getting into. I'm already in it, Sosuke. How well I understand what I'm in is something I think you'll be able to help with. Very well. What do you want to know? Taken captive. Makoto told me that this all started because you were taken captive yesterday. What happened? It was 2 p.m. The young master had just finished a meeting with a VIP in Crane Tower, floor 108. 2 p.m.? He wasn't in school? I'll ask that you refrain from mocking the young master in my presence. He is a child. Anyone can see that. But you've no idea the pressures that have been placed on him. Whatever my client wants. As I was saying, it was just after 2 p.m. Me and the rest of my team escorted him to the elevators along our planned exit route. But our lift stopped suddenly in between floors 61 and 62. That was when I made a mistake. I had a bad feeling. Thought it best to get Motoko to the ground floor ASAP. So I forced the elevator open, crawled out, and pulled him out after me. But just as I got out, the elevator started up again, separating us from the rest of the guard. It was a trap! A 50-50 one. Staying wasn't safe either. If they could stop the elevator, it's not a stretch to think they could drop it, too. He just lost the coin flip when he decided to exit. Yes, Sarah, it was a trap. Floors 60 through 70 were undergoing heavy retrofitting. The other elevators weren't responding. Comms were jammed. I'd reviewed the entire building's blueprints beforehand. Not very useful information, obviously, for a floor undergoing renovations, but I knew that there was a construction elevator we could get into on the other side of the tower. I had to act fast. There was no time to doubt myself, and I did something unforgivable. You left the kid? I picked him up over my shoulder. Oh. Well, that sounds like fun. House, forgive me. Everything the young master does for the sake of his name's dignity, and kids are tougher than you'd think. I think he'll get over it. So you escorted him to the service elevator, I take it? That's when things... Yes, I'm sorry, but I only remember a few vague details about what happened next. But I'll tell you what little I can. After I activated the lift, 2 assailants emerged from under a tarped doorway at my 7 o'clock, one tall and thin. Tall was around 190 centimeters, and his weight, I'd say 100 kilograms with the mods. Thin was maybe 175 centimeters, but slouched. Modded as well, but what I saw looked stripped down, so he couldn't have been heavier than 70 kilo. They had needle guns, slow to fire and slow to take effect, a memorable choice. Taller one shot first, jerked his arm when he pulled the trigger, a bad habit usually favored by street slinger punks who are used to compensating for the kickback of jailbroken zippers. He might as well have been aiming at the ceiling. Finn lines up his shot properly, laser-sighted, dialed in on the young master's left trapezoid. I shift into a horse rider stance and deflect the needle with my weapon. The lift doors open behind me as just another shooter steps forward at my 3 o'clock, or so I thought, but all they had was a laser pointer, literally, a cheap trick. But it worked. I hear a click from 8 o'clock, turn my neck. I feel the weight of a punch to my deltoid, a dullish kind of pain for an instant. I realize I'm already going numb, and that's when I squeeze. Squeeze? He's talking about his mods. That's how I've always described it. Others say they flex, or pull, or hold. I squeeze. Akita Type 2 external thoracic booster. Some burst strength and pain-killing capabilities, but in short, it's a reflex enhancer. Make 1 second feel like 15 in hindsight, and makes it feel like you ran a marathon during those 15 seconds once the kickback gets you. But I digress. I moved. Got Motoko into the elevator and wrenched the doors shut myself, taking 3 more needles to the back in the process. I remember saliva pooling on my lip and then cold concrete scratching my cheek. God damn. Sosuke. So far, all I know about you is your first and last name. It's a very important last name. But I take your meaning. And in truth, the first thing you should know is that I'm not worthy of it. Why? You disqualified due to pre-existing conditions? I was born Sosuke Hayakawa, 4th son of a distant branch family. The only reason I bear the name of Ikariya is because I was adopted into the main house as an infant, in exchange for lifelong service to the main family. Oh! God, this shit is so fucked. Sounds like a great deal. Lifelong? How did you serve the Ikariya as an infant? There are various tax benefits if you have exactly 2 children. Don't be absurd. I am what you would call a bodyguard. From the time I was able to walk, I was trained to be of service to the house by protecting the heir with my life. From the time you were able to walk? There are a lot of demand for toddler bodyguards? All that's ever been asked from me is that I stand in the right place at the right time. You mean like in a family photograph? Like in front of a blade. Even a child can manage that. The house has given me everything I've ever had and taught me everything I've ever known. What meager service I can offer in return means nothing compared to the debt I owe them. You view your relationship with your family as a transaction? It is not something so cold, girl. It's a matter of loyalty. Right. So if you were standing before a judge and they asked your name and occupation, you would say, "My name is Sosuke Ikariya, and I'm an eternal servant for a living." I would say, "My name is Sosuke Ikariya, and I work as a head of personal security for the Ikariya Financial Group." And what does that entail exactly? I am the young master's bodyguard, and I lead all his security teams. Nice to properly meet you. Pleasure to make your acquaintance. And I'm Sarah, paralegal and bartender, part-time. Yes, I believe you already mentioned that. It seemed like we were all doing it twice. Well, thank you for your paralegal services, Sarah. And here I had the impression you had no sense of humor. What do you mean? It seems in this particular instance, Adonai, it was you who misidentified his proper manners as being sarcastic. Glad we've all broken the ice. Alright, Sosuke. So you were guarding Makoto. These men laid a trap, targeted him with tranks, failed. Then they take you instead? Yes, to my great shame. You were outnumbered and ambushed, but you still managed to protect Makoto. What's there to be ashamed of? I didn't see it coming. You're saying this has happened before? Dozens of attempts in the past year. Some headed off in the early stages, some sidestepped entirely, and some stopped with force. I knew their tactics, I knew our vulnerabilities. Yet still I failed. Sosuke, that is not incorrect. Adonai? Am I wrong? Should a bodyguard get at least one shot off before being taken down? Shot? What do you mean, shot? You were not carrying a firearm? No. No one on the team had guns. How's that? None of us on the security team had firearms with us. But you're a gangster. I'm a head of personal security for the Ikariya financial group. Walking onto an allied group's property armed to the teeth insults their hospitality and makes the house look insecure, or worse, impotent. Into an allied group's property, armed with teeth, insults their hospitality, or worse. Okay. I'm not a security expert, but I do think there's some gray area between armed to the teeth and empty-handed. I mean, didn't you just say you deflected their attack? I was not defenseless just because I wasn't carrying a gun. Oh? I had my sword. So she used his sword on one of them. What's crazy about that, though, is that further indicts him, even though she did it. Which means it's going to be even harder to prove his innocence, because his sword fucking cut into that guy's neck, but it was her who did it. But then what might come up is the fact that she took like 3 swings with it because she was unfamiliar with how to kill somebody with a sword. Which means in court, to argue his innocence, she could argue that whoever actually killed the person was unskilled with the sword, whereas he is skilled with the sword. But that would then indict her, because then the question becomes, oh well, if the person who used the sword was weak and untrained, then who actually did this? And then now the eyes are looking for a different suspect, and that suspect would eventually point to her. Especially because she gripped the sword with her bare hands, so even if she removed her fingerprints from it, they still might have the forensic tools to extract some other type of genetic material from the sword that points to her that isn't her fingerprint. So if more focus is put on the sword and the search is narrowed down to somebody that was untrained with the weapon, then that narrows it heavily down to her getting caught. She doesn't have to prove who it was, she just has to prove who it wasn't. Yeah, I know, but, like, because the police are gonna get involved in this whole case, like, it doesn't, like, this doesn't go away once Sosuke is proven innocent. It doesn't just go away magically, because then the investigation moves away from him and onto somebody else. So there are second-hand effects of whatever the result of this trial will be. And furthermore, if she intentionally sabotages the case to get him put in prison for her murders, then that means she's failing the Ikariya family, and that could prove just as bad as her getting arrested for the murders herself by the police. Like, having a crime family as your enemy because of your incompetence, they might literally just kill her for failing them. They might just give her a wakizashi with 10 people pointing guns at her and tell her to commit suicide through seppuku because she failed them. Like, they could just do that because that's how powerful they are. And that would be kind of just about equally bad as the state giving her a life sentence for 5 homicides. And the fact that the sword, and the fact that there's a fifth death with the cop that was killed, like, again, that makes it impossible for her to narrow her own charges down to, like, manslaughter or homicide. Or not negligent homicide, but, like, if it was only the 4 deaths of the 4 gangsters, she could get her sentence down to a point where she could exit prison at a healthy age. But not with the death of a police officer. She will get life in prison if she... So that means this is a situation where she is really... This is very high heat no matter who wins. I suppose at least if she wins, or I suppose that if Sosuke is proven innocent, then at least she gets a bunch of money that she might be able to use to try and make herself more protected from prosecution in some capacity. I'm not sure. Maybe she would try to call in favors from the Ikariyas, since, to try and prevent her from being prosecuted. I don't know. I had my sword. So lame. So cool. You walk around town with what? A samurai sword? You just assume that it's a katana? Is it? Yes. It is a signifier of my position within the house that shows that I am acting as a representative of it. Is it ceremonial, then? No, it is quite sharp. I can attest to that. Yeah, because you put your fucking hands on it, and you have no upper body strength, so you had to fucking carve that dude's neck in like 3 times because you have no upper body strength. Though it's probably in terrible condition by now, seeing how this city's police manhandle everything else they touch. Speaking of which, perhaps we should move on to the night's main events. They tried for Makoto, got you instead, and took you to the lower wards. Why? I've been wondering that myself. Aren't you essentially worthless? As a hostage, she means. I know that. Thinking back, I was surprised myself to wake up at all, let alone in captivity. But it seems they had questions they wanted to ask me. What do you remember? Whatever they used on me, I can't remember some things, but how much of it was real and what order it happened in is all... Just say whatever comes to mind. It can be anything. Sights, smells, voices. There are no wrong answers. I was bound, my wrists bound above my head, tied to something that smelled like iron and rattled like old iron. Tiles beneath my feet, some kind of bathroom or decontamination area. Good guess. They asked me questions. I said things. Loose lips, like being drunk for the first time again. But I'm confident that other than vulgarities, it was all incoherent. Because they were shocks. The taste of blood. I must have bit my tongue during the spasms. And there were beatings, of course. I wouldn't have guessed. Adonai, do you need corrective lenses? Sarcasm is just how I grieve a lost opportunity, Sarah. Lost opportunity? Yeah, it's a damn shame. From what I can see of it, a pretty face like yours would go a long way with the jury if it wasn't pulverized. Ridiculous. Is he blushing? I agree about his face, Adonai, but I don't believe it is only his strong fit. Let us move on. Let us move on. Really? Well, in that case, how did your captivity end? Do you recall escaping? I was blindfolded the entire time, but my ears weren't boxed so bad. There was a door that squeaked and whined, so I knew when something was coming or going. One voice asked questions mostly. It was light. Another voice grunted when he hit me. Heavy. Other voices came and went, and then eventually there was talk. Through the door, I heard. They were all talking to someone else. A new voice? Was it high-pitched or low, loud or soft? It doesn't matter. What's important is that it belonged to someone new. Someone besides you and the dead who was there last night. Did you make out any point in their part of their conversation? No, not a word. But there was a loud noise, gunshots, followed by shouting and ugly sounds. And then, a hollow pain in my skull as I lost consciousness again. When I next came to, I had something in my hand. My hand. Something sharp. I didn't even think to ask what it was or where it came from. I just started working at the bindings, rushed and clumsy, poked myself in the process, but I cut them loose, then I took the gag out. The blindfold was so tight, I cut it rather than try and... Ugh. The damn thing must have been acting as a bandage, because when I took it off, between the light and the pain, I thought that my head had split open. It took me a long time to stand up. Felt like I could lie on that cold, disgusting floor forever if I just... But something was poking me, something tucked into my waistband. The gun. A gun. Imagine my surprise. Checked the safety of the chamber reflexively, but only saw 2 spent slugs. I was too tired to be confused, so I just walked out that squeaky door and into red. Just red. And then I was blinked at an IV, handcuffed to a stretcher in an ambulance, some cop reading me my rights, saying that I killed 5 people. Wow, so the 5th person who died there, he didn't even interact with Sosuke unless Sosuke is lying. No, wait, some judge or official said that later. When I woke up in the ambulance, all they said was that I was a cop killer. Omitting some strong language. I don't understand. You were held captive, interrogated, tortured. But then you woke up armed and were able to escape? The cops didn't ask me any questions, and I wouldn't have answered if they had. It's been nearly a full day, and I'm just now saying it aloud for the first time. It truly sounds absurd. This is your world, Sasuke, not mine. Do you have any theories on what happened? Only 2 possibilities come to mind. In the first scenario, 1 or more of my captors wanted to kill me, but needed an excuse to do so they let me escape. They give me a knife and an unloaded gun, then wait for me to stumble out so they can mist me and be done with it. But the plan doesn't work. Somehow I limp out of that room and shoot, cut, stab, kill them all. That would be quite the feat given the condition you say you were in. Yes, a tale for the ages. But it's not possible. Why isn't it? Why isn't it possible? Even if he had the motive and they were stupid enough to give him the opportunity, he was still lacking... bullets. In our brief, I read 2 of the pod were shot to death. I'm sure you're highly qualified, Sosuke, but I doubt you can fire a gun without bullets. No, I cannot. As I said, the gun I woke up with had already fired both its shots. So if we tell the police that the gun wasn't loaded, would that clear Sosuke's name for the 2 murders? For 2 of the murders? There's no proof the gun was already empty by the time he got his hands on it. She's right. That gun was some kind of jailbroken mag rail. The only residue it'd leave behind is static. So long as my prints are on it, that's all the evidence they need to claim I fired it. How about a second possibility, then? The second possibility is that someone walked into that building, killed my captors, then tried to frame me for it. That sounds like lunacy. We've already eliminated the other possibility. Insane trumps impossible. Like it or not, this bad Samaritan theory is our best shot. What is it? I'm just surprised you believe me. You haven't even asked if I did it. I never ask. It helps that I can usually tell. A wise policy for the world you're setting foot into. Not as if it makes any difference here, even if I don't know if I'm guilty. You were drugged and beaten. You're still injured, even now. And we just reasoned that you couldn't have killed your captors without help. What makes you think you might still be guilty? Because I've killed before. A pale spark flickers at the back of my mind. My index finger raises slightly, my lips part. Was I expecting this, stepping into the criminal underworld, looking forward to it? The rare opportunity to speak frankly with someone else who's... You mean... Yes. I was in the military. Oh, gosh. I kind of want to end on that joke because we are hella overtime. You know what? Yeah, we're gonna end on that. You've killed before. I was in the military. They sent me to Iraq. Oh. Oh, you mean that kind of killing? Oh my god. Thank you all very much for joining me here tonight. I really appreciate you coming here to hang out with me. We will be back in 4 days. Wednesday, if you live in the United States, it'll be a chill stream, either Mega Bonk or Everything is Crab. So that's going to be fun. But then, next Friday, Saturday, we will return to this game. And my god, do I fucking love this series. It is just, I don't see any holes in the writing whatsoever. It's so fucking good. So I'm heavily looking forward to it. And I hope that it goes on for, I don't know, like at least 10 streams. That'd be fucking awesome. If it was that long, that'd be great. You happen to be new here and you enjoyed hanging out with us tonight, if you think I deserve a follow or a subscribe, I'd appreciate it quite a bit. We stream 3 times a week for approximately 2 hours. And this stream will be re-uploaded to YouTube tomorrow night, where we'll join every single stream I've ever done. So if there are any you want to catch up on, you can find all of them there. Link is in the About section. And yeah, the writing is just so fucking good. But it's late. I need to get the fuck out. So thank you all very much for being here. I appreciate your support in every capacity. I hope you have a good afternoon, evening, morning, etc. And I will see you all again soon with a chill stream. But then, of the devil. Ciao.